Hello, everybody, and welcome to the table. So, it's not too often that I'm openly disappointed or critical of a knife or a knife company unless it's really warranted. But I'm really disappointed in where I bought this knife and what it represents. So, this knife right here, I picked up from Big Five Sporting Goods here in California. So, if you aren't familiar with Big Five Sporting Goods, they are a sporting goods chain, very common here on the west coast of the United States. So there are tons of them all over the place. They're maybe about a quarter the size of a place like a Sportsman's Warehouse. So they fit in a lot of strip malls. So very common. Growing up here in California, we go to Big Five all the time. And I've noticed in the last, 10, 15 years or so, they've really gone downhill. And it's to the point that the knives they sell end up being something like this. And so now if this knife looks familiar to you, it is because at retail, here in the state of California, I purchased a clone of a Kershaw Launch 4. So it's kind of disappointing. I didn't buy this knife on Aliexpress. I didn't buy it on Temu or any shady Chinese retailer. I was able to pick this up in person in California from what I assumed was a reputable sporting goods store. And so that's kind of a bummer there. And so question is, why did I pick it up? And so in reality, I saw an ad for this particular knife from Big Five on sale for $12. And so now their normal on non-sale price is $30 for this knife. And I picked this up for $12 on sale. And so I figured for $12 we can check out the quality, see what we have here. But even from the photos, you can kind of immediately tell by the shape and size of this knife that it is a clone. So this comes to us from a brand, and of course they can call it anything they want. This one is called Atomic Knives. And so this Atomic Knives branded clone, they have quite a few of them in the store, actually. This one has this red blade, and you can see the red hardware on the knife as well. Deep carry pocket clip. And functionally, it is very similar to what we have in our Kershaw Launch 4, which I have a legitimate one right here on the table. So we can just put them side by side, and you can get an idea of what we're working with here. And, right down to the blade shape, to the shape of the handle, they were definitely looking to clone this knife. And so I'm sure the way it works is, Big Five just contracts out to whatever cheapy Chinese companies they can. So I doubt it was a purposeful thing to clone this knife and bring it into the US for retail sale. But nonetheless, that's what happened. And it's kind of a shame because Big Five Sporting Goods, they're an official, retailer. They sell legit Kershaw knives there. They sell legit Spyderco knives there. And so to see something cheap like this, in their display case is kind of a shame, to be honest with you. And quality-wise, if you were to pay $30 for this knife, I'd say you overpaid. If you were to get it on sale for $12, maybe it's a fun toy at that price. But what are we getting here? And it's definitely doesn't hold a candle to the original, and we'll see why in a second. But what we have here is a California Legal Auto. It has a push button here on the front. The deep carry pocket clip. It has steel liners, as you can see. So it's an open, construction design. And we have either aluminum or maybe zinc scales. I can't quite tell what kind of metal this is. It's kind of heavy, so it may not be aluminum. I'm not too sure. And checking out the weight, we can see it is significantly heavier than the original Kershaw here. So let's check out the weight. So our weight for this knife, it's not super heavy weight, but yeah, 2.7 ounces versus the Kershaw here, which is coming in 1.9, so less than 2 ounces. So you can certainly tell there's a significant difference in weight between these two models. In the thickness here, the actual Kershaw is just solid aluminum scales, aluminum construction. So that does contribute to the weight quite a bit. The actual function of this knife, though, is not great, to be honest with you. It does function basically as a button lock knife. Have had some issues with it, and even just constantly trying to break it in, work it in, it is just not right. So when you close the knife, when you get to about this point, there's some grittiness. You can see that I can kind of just leave it open like that. And any quality auto should not just let you leave the knife open like this, in this kind of a condition. It's just really not a sign of good tolerances, not a sign of good quality. And so sometimes when the knife is closed, you hear it snap shut and you go to press the button again. A few times it's been totally non-responsive. So there's something on the internal that's not checking in, and it's not engaging correctly. And so you have to really make sure that you hear good, a good snap when you close the blade. So kind of cheapy. And, I haven't tried to mess with the pivot at all. I haven't tried to take it apart yet. And so I'm sure a good cleaning would help with the action. And here's a quick add-on before I'm done with you. Upon disassembling the knife, and I could say good things and nothing stripped out, but there's this internal bushing right here, basically this little pivot area. And you can see it's actually broken into two pieces straight out from the factory. So I don't think it's supposed to come apart like that. So I'm not sure if it's going to go back together at all. So that's the kind of quality we're dealing with. So if anything, I would avoid anything with this branding on it. Do not trust. So just wanted to add that on. But I kind of just wanted to give my first impressions and thoughts, because the kind of guy who's going to go to a sporting goods store, buy an automatic knife, they're not going to take it apart. They're not going to clean it. They're not going to do anything with it but use it. And using it straight out of the package, comes out of this cheapy black box, very simple. Using it straight out of the box, even that presents an issue because it looks like a nice pokey blade, has a pokey tip on it, but there's an issue. Our edge here, well, there is no edge, there's nothing to it. They forgot to put an edge on this one at the factory. So we can see the bevels are there. So I assume I'll be able to get a decent edge on this once I just, raise that burr on both sides and get it going. And it looks like it's 90% of the way there, but they just forgot that step, so this is absolute bargain bin type stuff. And if they could sell this knife on sale for $12, it gives you an idea of how much it's actually worth and how much they paid for it. So really, really disappointing. And again, I knew going into this probably would be a dud, but man, I can't even put it into words. And so the sad thing is the colors are pretty cool. I do like the black and red motif on there. It looks really cool. The blade coloration is nice. The coating is kind of cheap though, because straight out of the box, you can see it's already kind of like chipping off. I can feel that with my fingernail coming off. So it's a cheap coating, but it has that nice shiny color to it. It looks pretty cool, and Kershaw does do similar colors and stuff like that. I've seen ProTech do similar colors like that as well. So I think they're just kind of emulating that. So this was available in the red color. They had a rainbow color, and I think just plain black as well. But I figured, while I'm at it, I might as well get the kind of fancy looking red blade to see what it was like. And so what I'm even telling you right now, if you get it on sale for $12, yeah, go mess around, have fun with it. But if you are going to pay $30 for this, don't. Because I could tell you for $30, there is a much better California legal auto out there, miles ahead of the quality of this knife right here. So let me pull that out on the table 1 second. So that is this knife right here. So this right here is the Boker Kalashnikov. So it's also a push button auto, side opener, aluminum handles, deep carry pocket clip. Literally though, miles ahead quality wise compared to what we have on this cheap clone. So side by side, you can see the size comparison. It's smaller, although the blade is pretty much equal. The grooves for your grip right here are way superior. Awesome jimping as well. So it's just very well done. This is, again, the Boker Kalashnikov is what they call it. And this knife right here, even safety-wise, I wouldn't carry this in my pocket if I had a choice not to, because we can see how protruded the button is. And normally on these type of knives, when you put your knife on the table and you press it down, the button doesn't actuate. And that's a safety feature because the button is slightly recessed into the handle. That's not the case here. You put this on the table, you press it down, and that blade pops right out, which means if this is in your pocket, anything that presses against your pocket is going to give you a nice sharp surprise in the leg. So that should not be happening. So on pretty much every other push button auto I have from a legit manufacturer, you can do this all day and that blade doesn't come out. And now this material on the desk is actually soft, so it's even more forgiving than just a plain table. But even so, that's what we get. So if anything, I'm tempted to shoot Kershaw an email and tell them that, hey, Big Five Sporting Goods, you know, who I assume to be one of your legit retailer resellers, they are selling a clone of your Kershaw Launch 4, you know, and it's a terrible clone, to be said, but nonetheless, that has got to have some negative impact on Kershaw and their bottom line, because to the average Joe putting these knives together, a lot of people might choose the cheaper one just because it looks cool with those colors. You know, the fit and finish on the legit Launch 4 is just miles ahead. It feels like a dream in hand in comparison. The action is awesome, super crisp and fun to actuate. Whereas this is just gritty. It's, again, it's not good. And you can buy something like this at retail in a physical location that's not a gas station, not some shady mall reseller, but what I thought was a respected sporting goods chain. So, have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. Hope you all have a nice day, and I will see you later.